My dear fellow citizens, Vanakkam from Sridhar. If India needs to be a developed country by 2047, in the words of our Honorable Prime Minister, Viksit Bharat, we need to transform our current electoral system because that's a fundamental premise of our democracy. Every penny saved is penny earned. This is what every person and every developing economy should do. But what has it got to do with one nation, one vote? I will explain this more from both political and economic perspectives. This ONOP is not a new theory that BJP is trying to bring. We had it from 1952 to 1967, and subsequently we lost it because of some mishaps in some states, and we got used to it. Before even going through the lengthy report by the expert committee, some parties have already rejected the proposal. Of course, they come with some slogans like dictatorship and death of federalism and all. They are wrong. I will explain why they are wrong. India is the largest democracy in the world. But is it perfect in all sense? No democracy is perfect in all sense. Other than few countries in the world like Norway, Sweden, New Zealand, many countries have flawed democracies, including the United States of America. And India is also part of the flawed democracies. And it would remain so forever. Why? Because of its sheer size and population diversity. But a good democracy, working democracy, would strive for three important things. Addressing the basic needs is number one. People want their country to grow economically and that gets them jobs. They need safety and security. And they need infrastructure, bridges, roads, electricity, health, etc. Second is improving the system. People also want to improve parts of their government that they have elected. They want better politicians or fair implementation of their rights. Third is the most important thing, overhauling the system. Some feel the system itself needs to be reformed through changes to the electoral process, the balance of power between the institutions, or the structure of the courts, and so on. Opposition parties keep complaining that our institutions are under threat. Take the recent example. Election Commission is influenced by the ruling party. And why the Chief Justice of India is not part of the selection committee? EVMs are rigged. Electoral bonds are a scam. CBI, ED, and IT are all used to threaten the opposition parties. Some judges even say their collegium system does not work well. A former Chief Justice of India even questioned the independence of judiciary. Governors are not clearing files sent by the opposition parties. We have seen such issues over the last 50 years, including emergency. However, so far Indian democracy has endured it rather beautifully well. We may be despising the corruption and the criminalization of politics, but we all go and vote at the end of the day because we want a stable government with good governance. To get that, we need to continuously overhaul the system. ONOP is one such exercise. I'm going to give five reasons for it. First, let's look at the cost. We have 28 states, 8 union territories, 235 municipal corporations, 2.62 lakh gram panchayat, and don't forget, we have the largest voter population in the world, 96.9 crore people. Literally, every year, few elections happen across the country apart from the Lok Sabha elections. This means every voter votes at least three times every 5 years, if not more. 3 working days are lost for the whole country every 5 years. On an average, we lose $11 billion per year in labor productivity. This works out to 5,300 rupees per person of the productive workforce. In addition, we have teachers who work at the grassroots level for conducting the elections. And multiple election schedules mean more teacher absenteeism. A recent study says if ONOP is implemented, 0.5% can increase in school enrollment. The Election Commission is going to employ 1.5 crore people this 2024 Lok Sabha election. You can imagine similar deployment in state elections and panchayat elections. Government of India has budgeted around 3,200 crore to conduct 2024, which is minuscule for a size of India, and it works out to 33 rupees per person. Now is the most important point. Our election commission has fixed limits for expenditure. Lok Sabha candidates can spend about 80 lakhs. For Vidhan Sabha, it's about 35 lakhs. Just imagine how much these candidates are going to spend, each candidate. For 543 Lok Sabha and 4,123 Vidhan Sabha seats. Candidates may be in 10,000, 9,000, 10,000 candidates. We all know that political parties and candidates spend much, much more than this limit to woo the voters. Some analysts have calculated it is going to cost 1.2 trillion rupees, which is about 14.4 billion US dollars. The same amount US spent in 2020 for their elections. This works out to 1,250 rupees per person, per voter. This is huge. And all for what? Travel, petrol, diesel, hotel stay, freebies, cash, biryani, liquor, and so on. Political parties have to resort to black money generation by illegal methods to fund this cost. Second, take the voter turnout. Multiple elections means creating fatigue in the minds of the people. And many middle and upper middle class people, they don't even go and vote. You will see during the election time, your flight tickets will be the highest. First time in India in the history, 2014 and 2019 elections saw over 66% voter turnout. But we can't be proud of this as 34% of voters have not exercised their rights. Cost has already been incurred and it is going waste. In a vibrant democracy, we need to have at least 75% voter turnout. Third is the negative effect of frequent model code of conduct. Of course, we need MCC for free and fair elections. But too many is bad. Once ECI declares MCC, whether it is for the state or at the center, no policy decisions can be taken. Welfare schemes cannot be announced. If each year few states go for election, at least 40 to 60 days, the entire government machinery goes into hibernation. And that is a huge cost impact for the state as well as to the center. Fourth is the election polarization. Too many elections create divisions across communities, caste, and religions. Hate speeches galore, crime increases, policing becomes very difficult, and many cases also go to the courts, which languish for years at our taxpayers' money. Finally, politicians work for short term gain. What do they do? Just to remain in power, they announce freebies, unsustainable welfare schemes, all for to remain in power. Long term growth is compromised. And certain states have become literally at the verge of bankruptcy. Recent example, we can say free travel for women, free electricity, free gas, monthly payout for some sections of the people. All of that is basically making people lazy. Some states are burdened with such unproductive cost, they are not able to spend for their development. If ONOP is implemented, India's GDP can go up by 1.5% from the current 7%. If this happens, imagine the amount of jobs it is going to create, the amount of productivity it is going to generate, and the exports increase, right? Everyone agrees that implementing ONOP has few challenges, but those are more procedural. And we can find a solution if all parties come to an understanding. Because they have to understand that ONOP is good for the country in the long run. And it is in no way threat to federalism. How can it be a threat to federalism? I can see why the opposition taking a hard stand. Their real worry is that Modi's popularity would help BJP in the state elections if ONOP is implemented. But that's a very short sighted approach compared to the much needed electoral reform. Modi and BJP can never be permanent. Let's be clear about this. Indian voters are very mature. They know who they want in the center, who at the state. Ultimately, people vote for parties who honor their commitments and who works for a sustainable future, keeping in mind of our younger generation. If you don't have a vision, you will perish. This is true for each one of us, and so is for the country and its leadership. The sooner we implement one nation, one poll, the sooner we will realize our vision of Viksit Bharat. Thank you.